PT Perusahaan Gas Negara Persero (TBK) atau Pegas dari MSCI Global Standard Index. Apakah tekanan yang terjadi masih akan terus berlanjut?
Jadi kalau kita belum berhasil break di atas 6.000, jadi nampaknya kita masih akan benar-benar ya.
Female pair from Indonesia has won gold in women's double at Tokyo Olympics. Bank Syariah Indonesia's net profit grew by 34.29% year-on-year.
Riz posted a net
Hello, good evening viewers. Market Headlines is ready to provide you a number of informations from business, economic, and capital market sector with me, Claranta Wijaya, and this is Market Headlines. Huge applause goes for Gracia Polly and Apriani Rahayu that became the first female pair from Indonesia to win gold in Tokyo Olympics. Indonesia's unseeded duo of Gracia Polly and Apriani Rahayu defeated the overwhelmingly favored Chinese pair of King Chen and Jia Yvonne in straight sets to win the women's double gold medal in badminton. It is the first time Indonesia, a nation traditionally strong in badminton, struck gold in the women's double at the Olympic. Emotions ran high throughout the match, with both sides screaming for points. And at one point, Polly broke her racket in frustrations and got a new one and returned to help Indonesia win the point. The match ended on the boundary review, with Polly and Rahayu elating when the shuttlecock was ruled out. Indonesia posted monthly inflations of 0.08% of July 2021.
After going through deflation on June, Indonesia posted inflation in July 2021. The Statistik Indonesia recorded that the consumer price index experienced inflation, or a price increase of 0.08% on the monthly basis in July 2021. Meanwhile, on the annual basis, inflation was 1.52%. Head of BPS, Marco Yuwono, said that the inflation this time was driven by price increases in the food, beverage, and tobacco expenditure group. This group experienced inflation of 0.15%.
Terjadi inflasi sebesar 0,08% atau terjadi peningkatan indeks harga konsumen atau IHK dari 106,46 pada bulan Juni 2021 menjadi 106,54 pada bulan Juli 2021. Dengan demikian, tingkat inflasi tahun kalender dari Januari ke Juli 2021 sebesar 0,81%.
Other significant groups that contributed to inflation are including clothing, footwear at 0.08%, housing and electricity at 0.05%, household equipment at 0.11%, and health at 0.24%. Jakarta Raja Pakbo, IDX Channel.
Regarding community mobility limitations in PPKM Level 4, Indonesian Shopping Center Tenants Associations or HIPINDO expects vaccination requirements can be applied in all sectors.
The fate of the Level 4 Community Activity Restriction or PPKM will be determined. Previously, government has extended the regulation on July 26 to August 2nd. A number of parties have suggested that there is a requirement to vaccinate visitors and mall employees. Responding to this issue, the Advisory Board of the Indonesian Shopping Center Tenants Associations or HIPINDO, Tutum Rahanta said, if PPKM Level 4 is still to be extended, then the vaccination requirements for visitors do not only apply at malls, but must also be applied to all sectors, transportation, shopping center, even to the market. So far, Tutum admits that PPKM has made conditions in the retail sector and shopping centers very difficult. Regarding the plan to have vaccination requirements for employees, Tutum said it would be not a problem. However, if the government has its own strategy to accelerate vaccinations, then the requirements to have been vaccinated for the community must be applied in all phases that cause crowds. IDX Channel reports.
Moving on to the global update, the Eurozone's economy grew by 2% in the second quarter, taking the region out of the recession. And meanwhile, Chinese cities rolled out mass testing of millions of people as the health authorities battled with the most widespread coronavirus outbreak in a month. More stories on today's International Minute.
The Eurozone's economy grew by 2% in the second 3 months of the year, taking the region out of recession. New figures suggest there was a growth in all the individual national economies, which reported data. The 19 nations bloc had suffered a so-called double-dip recession when the economy contracted in the previous 2 quarters. Amazon has predicted slower sales growth in the third quarter as a boost from the COVID pandemic subsidies. Amazon has predicted slower sales growth in the third quarter as a boost from the COVID pandemic subsides. Customers turned to Amazon and other online platforms during the COVID crisis, leading to record profits from the US giant. But Amazon's breakneck growth is beginning to level as the customers start to return to brick-and-mortar shops. Revenue climbed 27% to $113 billion in its second quarter, but this misanalyzed expectations. The general who took the power in coup in Myanmar in February has named himself Prime Minister and said emergency rule may now extend to August 2023. Min Aung Hlaing pledged to hold a free and fair multi-party election, but also called the elected party he removed terrorists. Hundreds have died in continuing protests against the military coup. Many protesters were in a health care system, which has collapsed amid a massive surge in COVID-19 infections. Chinese cities roll out mass testing of millions of people and impose fresh travel restrictions as the health authorities battle to contain the country's most widespread coronavirus outbreak in months. China on Sunday reported 75 new coronavirus cases with 53 local transmissions, with a cluster linked to an eastern airport now reported to have spread to over 20 cities and more than a dozen provinces. IDX Channel reports.
Market headlines will be right back after this quick break. Stay tuned.
Pemerintah menargetkan pertumbuhan ekonomi yang lebih tinggi pada tahun 2022 mendatang.
Pertumbuhan ekonomi di kisaran 5,2 hingga 5,8%.
Literasi digital penting untuk meningkatkan ekonomi dengan akselerasi usaha.
Internet bisa memberi nilai tambah ekonomi bagi seluruh lapisan masyarakat.
Hello, I'm Clara Antawijaya. I'm Associate Producer and News Presenter on Market Headlines. As Market Headlines starts at 4:30 p.m., which is in line with the closing market, therefore we summarize the market conditions only for you. And my job in here as a journalist, I give concise and accurate news for the audience. And also, being a journalist is not only a job for me, but it is also a passion. Kementerian Perindustrian menyatakan kinerja industri manufaktur di tanah air terus meningkat.
Catatan rekor 3 bulan berturut-turut.
Apa yang Bapak bisa cermati dari pergerakan indeks harga saham gabungan kemarin?
Jadi dengan kondisi itu kita melihat bahwa ruang kenaikan indeks artinya bisa kita naikkan lagi kembali kepada level 6.200 sampai 6.300.
The COVID-19 Handling Task Force admitted that Indonesia had not been able to achieve testing target during the emergency COVID-19 restrictions. The government reasoned because there was a Delta variant.
Previously, government targets 350,000 up to 400,000 COVID-19 testing all across Indonesia. But the reality is not easy as it looks. Spokesman of the COVID-19 Task Force, Wicky Adrian, said that the virus, which is Delta variant, put a lot of pressure on several efforts to control the COVID-19 pandemic in Indonesia. Even though Indonesia has not yet achieved the target set by the government, Indonesia's testing in the third week of July has reached 4 times the standard set by the World Health Organization. In terms of examination, WHO sets a standard of examinations of 1 to 1,000 population per week. It can be assumed that Indonesia's population reached 270 million people, so 270,000 people should be examined per week. IDX Channel reported.
Testing for COVID-19 is so important. Government and related stakeholders are working together the clock to establish programs that will ensure their access to the acceptance and rapid and reliable testing around the country. And testing can help people determine if they are infected with COVID-19 regardless of their have symptoms or not, and whether they are at risk at spreading the infections to others. And with a month, testing rate in Indonesia is always escalating. So let's see the data in the next graphic. Here it is, for your screen, we can see the COVID-19 testing in Indonesia. We can see that the trend is upward. We can see that in July 1st, 2021, the number of testing reaching 13.4 million testing. But however, in July 30, 2021, the trend was increasingly significant to be 17.7 million testings. And the COVID-19 Task Force report shows that the number of COVID-19 testing in Indonesia reaching 17.7 million as of July 30, 2021, and the number increased by 31.9% from 13.4 people on July 1st, 2021. And the number of daily COVID-19 tests had reached its highest during the pandemic. As much as 228,000 people were tested on July 22nd, 2021. However, the number of daily tests tended to decline again to 164,199 people as of July 30, 2021. But how about the average testing? Let's see the next graphic. So here it is for your screen. We can see average COVID-19 testing in Indonesia. The average one is of 146,000 tests a day. However, it doesn't meet the government's expectations of 400,000 tests a day, still far away, not even reach half of it again. And however, the average COVID-19 test in Indonesia is only 146,000 people a day during the period of July 1st up to the last. And the number of daily COVID-19 tests in Indonesia is actually still far from the Minister of the Health target of 400,000 people a day. A low test coverage could have an impact on unrecorded cases of COVID-19 transmission, and therefore the government needs to intensify the testing. The public is also advised to be disciplined in implementing the basic health protocol, but still many people don't apply health protocol. Even the COVID-19 handling task force rebuked around 8.9 million people for failing to implement the health protocol from July 19 to 25 in 2021. And let's see the more specific data in the next graphic. Here it is through your screen. We can see by the region. And we can see that Bali has the most people that rebuked the law by 1.5 million people, and moved to West Java by 1.3 million people that rebuked the health protocol, and East Java by 1 billion people, Aceh by 0.5 people, and Banten by 0.46 people. And this is the many of the people of 8.9 million people for failing to implement the health protocol from July 19 to 25, 2021. And based on the locations of the crowd itself, there were around 2.8 million people who were rebuked at the market, whereas 997,000 people were rebuked for violating 3M's health protocol in their office. And then 292,000 people were rebuked for violating health protocols in residential areas. And meanwhile, 222,000 people were reprimanded for violating health protocols in the restaurants. And this is very bad since COVID-19 cases in Indonesia has no signs to stop yet. Let's see the trend in the next graphic. Here it is through your screen. We can see the trend of COVID-19 cases in Indonesia. The trend is increasing as well. By May 30th, there were 1.8 million cases so far, and June 30th by 2.2 million cases. In July 30th, which is the latest data, by 3.4 million cases. And the fact is that COVID-19 active cases in Indonesia are the highest in Asia. Indonesia is above Iran and India. And even the World Matters page, Indonesia is in the first positions with 545,000 active cases, while in Iran is in the second place with 413,000 active cases. One thing we know for sure that every single person can help our country control the pandemic, and from wearing a mask to washing your hands to maintaining physical distance and avoiding large indoor gatherings, each of us can follow proven public health practices that not only reduce our own chance of getting infected by COVID-19, but also prevent the spread of COVID-19 to our co-workers, friends, and loved ones. Another thing that will help is testing as many as people as possible. Stay tuned on Market Headlines.
Ya, halo pemirsa, nama saya Mangivera Tjong. Saat ini saya menjabat sebagai presenter dan juga associate producer. Saat ini saya membawakan program IDX Session Closing, di mana di program tersebut saya menganalisa isu-isu ekonomi yang menarik, baik dari luar negeri maupun juga dari dalam negeri. Tentunya, hingga saat ini saya masih terus belajar dan saya sangat menikmati profesi tersebut.
Kementerian Perindustrian menyatakan kinerja industri manufaktur di tanah air terus meningkat.
Catatan rekor 3 bulan berturut-turut.
Apa yang Bapak bisa cermati dari pergerakan indeks harga saham gabungan kemarin?
Jadi dengan kondisi itu kita melihat bahwa ruang kenaikan indeks artinya bisa kita naikkan lagi kembali kepada level 6.200 sampai 6.300.
Let's take a look at Jakarta Composite Index intraday movement. So earlier today, JCI was open at level of 6,084.00. And then approaching closing time in the first session, the index was on the level of 6,077.15. And the index was showing strengthening trend by the second session closing time. The index was closed at the level of 6,096.54. In short, JCI went up 0.44%. Next, we are going to see the sectoral movement. Let's see the dynamics of today's trading. We got transportations and the non-cyclic as the leader of the strengthening trend that went up 1.76%. We got industry that went up 1.07%. And then we got transportations and logistics as the leader of the weakening trend that went down 1.21%. And technology that went down 0.7%. And moving on to the top gainers and the top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading stations. We got BABP that went up 23.46% to the level of 442 rupiah per share. We got Agro that went up 3.2% to the level of 2,580 rupiah per share. We got Friend that went up 4.67% to the level of 157 rupiah per share. And we got BGTG that went up 7.52% to the level of 286 rupiah per share. Meantime, for the top losers for today's trading sessions, we got BBCA that went down 0.17% to the level of 29,800 rupiah per share. We got BBYB that went down 3.57% to the level of 810 rupiah per share. We got BRIS that went down 1.14% to the level of 2,600 rupiah per share. And ARTO went down 2.92% to the level of 17,425 rupiah per share. And next, we are going to see the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. So rupiah opened at the level of 14,467. Rupiah was also showing weakening trend towards US dollar. I was closed at the level of 14,457. In summary, rupiah went down 0.11%. Throughout the first semester of 2021, Bank Syariah Indonesia managed to record a positive performance as reflected in the net profit that grew by 34.29% year-on-year.
Throughout the first semester of 2021, Bank Syariah Indonesia or BRIS managed to record a positive performance as reflected in both revenues and net profit, which rose significantly. BRIS posted a net profit of 1.48 trillion rupiah, up 34.29% year-on-year. Meanwhile, in the first semester of last year, BRIS recorded a net profit of 1.1 trillion rupiah. And according to the President Director of BRIS, Heri Gunardi, the increase in profit in the first semester of this year was triggered by the growth of quality financing and third-party funds that the cost funds would be reduced. This prompted an increase in margin income and profit sharing, which grew by around 12.71% year-on-year. With significant profit growth, BRIS can increase its profitability ratios. This was marked by an increase of ROEs from 11.69% as of June 2020 to 13.84% as of June 2021. IDX Channel reported.
Bank Central Asia plans to conduct a stock split with a ratio of 1:5. And through this stock split, management of BCA hopes that BCA share will be more affordable for retail investors.
Bank Central Asia plans to conduct a stock split with a ratio of 1:5 so that retail investors are expected to own the company shares at a more affordable price. BCA President Director Yahya Setiatma just said that through the stock split, BBCA's share price will be more affordable for retail investors, especially the demographic of young investors who are currently active in the stock exchange. With the determinations of the stock split ratio of 1:5, one old share becomes 5 new shares. Currently, BBCA shares have a par value of 62.5 rupiah per share, so that after the stock split, the value will be 12.5 rupiah per share. The President Director said BBCA is closely monitoring the development and dynamics of the domestic economy and market, including trading activities on the Indonesia Stock Exchange. So, BCA decided to carry out a stock split corporate actions to provide wider opportunities for retail investors to invest in BCA shares. IDX Channel reports.
Moving on to the next coverage, Medica Loka Hermina's earnings shot up in the first 6 months of 2021, whereas the revenue soared to 78.87% on the annual basis to 3.1 trillion rupiah in the first half of 2021.
The increase in revenue caused companies' profit to increase rapidly. Hermina's net profit reached around 544 billion in the first half of this year. Company's net profit shot up 422% from the same period of last year of 104 billion rupiah. In the first half of the last year, company's revenue reached around 1.73 trillion rupiah. The increase in revenue occurred mainly in the patient segment. Hospitalization revenue jumped 98.21% to 2.22 trillion rupiah from the previously 1.12 trillion rupiah. IDX Channel reported.
Yes, viewers, step aside from market conditions as coronavirus pandemic takes big role in current economic situation. Here it is an update data about coronavirus globally. And the news close on market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic, business, and capital market channel. And as the COVID-19 pandemic is still going on, keep protecting your family by following the health protocols. Wearing face masks, keep your distance, and stay away from crowds, and wash your hands through running water. And also continue to support the vaccinations program to accelerate the creation of the herd immunity. I'm Clara Antawijaya signing off. Stay safe.